my last one, just on this little conversation before I go a totally different direction. I challenge you to a 100 appointment challenge between now and the end of the year. I dare you, Rich. Rich, I dare you. Yes, I see your green screen and your whole video setup back there. I love it, Rich. I dare you to put up a big wall board that says, I commit to 100 meetings between now and the end of the year, and you bend your entire reality around, I'm going to have 100 meetings. Buyer consultations, research buyers, ready buyers, research sellers, right now sellers. You commit to that, and the 2.5 days we've spent together will be so transformational. You will look back like you've seen, and many of you know because you've been in my universe for a long time, you see me doing this with people, and Melody, every single time they do it, even when they fail and they only do 52 appointments in the 4 months and not 100, their business is still transformed forever. But when they do 100, what they really learn about themselves, do you all remember David Goggins? Do you remember the conversation he had with us a few years ago at the summit? What did he say? You all got 40 to 60% more in you. You all cut yourself short. You think that you're tired. You buy into the noise. You start saying you're busy, and he just keeps doing those pull-ups, right? He just keeps running because he knows he's got more in him, my friends. That's what the 100 appointment challenge is about. It's like you versus you. Every one of you, please write this in your notes. Please download the audio book today called The War of Art. The War of Art. I have been obsessed with this book. The War of Art. I don't know the author. I couldn't tell you, but when you Google it, it's that guy. The War of Art, Marty, you know what the whole thing is? It's the creative's dilemma. And what he talks about is what we all deal with, my friends, every single one of us, is what he calls the resistance that is in the universe. And the resistance, you know what it wants to do, Melissa Menard? It wants to stop any creative act, any act of improving yourself, any act of getting better. The resistance wants to stop you. It wants you to stay where you are. Now, as a writer, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as a salesperson, I know that there's things that I have to do. Yesterday, doing yoga in the morning with Nick, the resistance was telling me, you have the most important talk you're going to do this year. You're not ready for it. You got to talk about the 6 trends. And he's like, one more downward dog. And I'm like, okay, one more downward dog. I literally, in the middle of my yoga session, had to say, the inner resistance is trying to get me to stop. Stay focused and stay in task. Stay in the moment. Stay in the moment. My friends, many of you, and the whole book entry is about overcoming the resistance. And I just told you what it is. You just say, stop. Listen, little resistance, I don't care about what you're saying right now. You want me to be mediocre. You want me to be an amateur. You want me to keep it safe because I know when I expand and I get into my greatness, there's no room for you, resistance. There's no room for you, excuses. So that's the direction I'm going. Now, many of you know me really well, and I am that crazy. I do actually have those kind of conversations with myself out loud. Sometimes in the shower, sometimes in the middle of a yoga session, definitely while I'm on the Peloton bike with all those crazy Peloton lunatics I ride with. Absolutely yes. Do you want to know why? Because the resistance is that little voice in the back of your head that says, you don't need to make the phone call. You're doing just fine. You can do it later. Don't worry about it. You'll be okay. Besides, don't you remember when you were 3? You wanted a pony. You didn't get it. See, you don't get anything you want. And you buy into that BS. Please download that audiobook tonight and listen to it. You will absolutely love it. And then take on the 100 appointment challenge. Say to yourself, this is my business. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to buy into the noise. I'm not going to buy into the resistance. I know I'm going to rub some people the wrong way. I probably need to go to my kids and my spouse or my puppy or my cat and say, look, I'm going to get really busy for the next 4 months. But you know what? What you don't know, little kitty, is my savings account is not where I want it to be. And if I don't make enough money, you are not going to have any food. So I'm going to get my ass to work and I'm going to go do whatever it takes. And if you want, how many of you have children? Raise your hands. How many of you have children? Raise your hands. You want to inspire your children? Show them that you can do it. Show them that you can make the move, that you can be disciplined, that you can follow through, right? That's the greatest lesson for kids, right? Show them how. But I don't have kids. Do you have friends? Do you have puppies? Do you have partners? Do you have lovers? Do it for them. Do it for you. Do it. So everybody, I just want to see a yes if you're in for the 100 appointment challenge. Give me a yes. Yes. Okay, I love it. And I see you, Ann Schreiber. 100. All right. So now stop. You ready? Here's the question. So where are you stuck? By the way, I just love this photo. Where are you stuck? Where are you stuck? And I'm going to tell you, my friends, and this is all part of the hook because we're almost done. Here's the hook. You ready? Where you're stuck, the vast majority of you, is you're stuck between performance and time. What you want is instant success, right now results. I'm going to make one text message and get 7 listings, and I'm going to prove that I can do it. But is that how the world works? No. Everything worthwhile takes time. Everything worthwhile takes time, my friends. So right now, every single one of you, in my experience, is sitting at what we call the plateau of complacency. You are who you are. You got where you got. You came here. Even if you're one of my 20-year coaching clients, you came here at a new plateau of complacency. And now you're staring down the cliff of the new behaviors, of the new changes. And I know what you're all doing. You're standing there and you're looking down and you're going, OMG, WTF. And in case you're wondering, that means, oh my God, where's Tom Ferry? I'm right here. But unlike this time where I was doing this, right? Trying to get you over the fence, now I need to do this and I need to push you off. Several years ago, I was on a snowboarding adventure with some buddies. And it was, well, I was the lone snowboarder, so all snowboarders and skiers will appreciate this. I am the lone snowboarder on a cat trip, like one of those cat truck things that took us up all these crazy mountains and, fresh powder for days, magical experience. All my friends, ridiculous skiers. But anyway you add it up, a snowboarder is going to be slower than a skier. And they could all do this, right? And I had to do this, which made everything a little bit harder for me. But I was into it. We did the first run. It was like powder for days. I literally said to myself, I'm never waiting in a line again. This is all I'm ever going to do for the rest of my life. This is so much fun. We got to about the 5th run, and all of a sudden now, April, I have to take my board off because they just, ski themselves right up. And I am, clunk, 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 digging in the snow. I get to the top, and I remember doing this. I remember literally going, wow. And all I saw was like the mountain, and I'm like, fresh powder, tree line over here. And all my buddies were like, come on, man, put your board on, let's go. And I was like, okay. And I looked down and I went, because what it looked like was about 90 feet. Now I know it was like 4 feet, but it looked like 90 feet straight down. Not this. It was a sheer cliff down and then into the run. And I was petrified. You know what I was? It was like you saying, could I knock on a door? Ah! Could I actually send the text message? Ah! Could I finally, shoot that video? And what it looked like was 90 feet down, and the only thing that was going to happen is I was going to die. And literally, my buddy Claude, who I love, and if you're watching, brother, I love you, he's like, hey, man, come on, we got to go. Like, let's go. Get your board on. I get my board on, and I'm like way back here. And he's like, no, brother, you got to get closer. And I'm like, okay. And I'm doing my best to, and all of a sudden I'm like right here. And I look and the moment before you take the action, the resistance is at its strongest, man. The resistance is just like, you're gonna die. You're married, you run a company, you have responsibilities, you shouldn't be up here. By the way, it would only take you about 2 hours to walk back down to base camp. They've got 5 more runs. You could make it in that time. Hey, by the way, you get in some extra steps for your Fitbit. That would be a really good idea. This is the stuff that's going through my head as I'm looking down and then looking up. and I'm sweating before making the call, before shooting the video, before altering my schedule, before doing everything I learned here. And all it took, my buddy's like, just get a little closer. It's not that bad. I edged up a tad. And then you know what he did? He did the same thing that all loving parents and friends do. He just pushed. And I went, ah, until I hit. And then I went, oh. And that, my friends, is how quickly you go from the valley of despair through the ascent of pain and ultimately to where you want to go. But you got to make the jump. You got to make the jump. And sometimes, like I see some of you, Scotty, with your team, you got to be willing to push them. You got to be willing to push, my friends. That's what the whole game's about. You have to push. You have to say to yourself in the mirror, the resistance wants me to live a mediocre life. The resistance wants me to be poor. The resistance wants to humble me every day and remind me of my past failures. Screw the resistance. I'm going for it. I am going for my greatness. Life is way too short to not jump off the cliff and enjoy the real experience of living. How many of you are with me with this? Say yes. Are you with me? Say I. Yay! My friends, as we wrap up this year's summit, 3 things very quickly. I'm not going to go through it. I'm just going to tell you. Here are your checklists. You guys seeing all this? This is what you're going to download tonight. You're going to look at these checklists and say, oh, this is what he wants me to do every day. Do you guys see that? Do you guys see it? This is what he wants me to do every day. Oh, look, that's what he wants me to do every week. Oh my goodness, what's the first one? Film 1 to 2 shows. The resistance. Jump off the cliff. Get the push. And then guess what? Here's your monthly checklist. And now, between now and the end of the year, it's about following the checklist, making it in bite-sized pieces, and look at doing little things every day more consistently than everybody else. Little things every day more consistently than anybody else. And all of a sudden, Robin, we come back and it's next August and we're live face-to-face in Anaheim and we're hugging and we're high-fiving. And you know what we're talking about? How we all jumped off the cliff. How we all went for it. How we all finally said, once and for all, COVID didn't stop me, right? The economy didn't stop me. None of the issues that matter to all of us, it didn't disrupt you. You decided that you would move forward powerfully. You decided that you would be great. You said, screw you, resistance. I'm going to do this anyway because life is way too short. So stop before I say one last thing. Write down what you got from this last little session. Write it down right now. What did you hear me say? Because I was talking to you the whole time. Write it down. What did you get?